What's up, guys? Welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. I'm your host, Caleb. If you want to support me, you can always use my TCGPlayer link in the description down below, or as always, liking, commenting, subscribing will do the trick. Now, let's get into today's Deck Tech with Shelob. Now, this girl's kind of insane, guys, and the approach we took was kind of like, hey, whatever we get, we're gonna get, but we are going to put a lure effect on her. So now, on top of being an 8/8, they have to block, and then we just get their entire board from that. Pretty balanced. We're buffered to the moon, make them block, and then we also include some fight spells here or there, so if we need a creature, we can just pick it off and boom, it's ours. Notably, we do have a few food token synergies such as Blossoming Bogbeast. Now we can sacrifice the food to gain some life. You know, if we get some of those useless creatures, we run spiders, obviously, and then last but not least, our strategy is simple. Get rid of the tokens. We don't want tokens, guys. This is a lure deck that wants impactful creatures, that way we can steal them. So we're going to include a lot of stuff like Arachnogenesis, wait for them to attack us with that massive board of tokens, and then it's going to be a wipeout. They're going to have nothing left. We're going to kill everything with our spiders. And if that sounds like a deck tech you want to get into, let's get into it. Before we talk about all of those spiders we are running, let's talk about the fight and lure aspect of this deck, because honestly, that's the main goal and we only need our commander out to get that started. Anara. I know our commander's an 8/8, but giving our commander indestructible on our turn is going to be solid, especially when we throw lure or Nemesis Mask on her and just send her at the entire board of our opponents. Now, their board's gonna be gone, or at least we get 8 damage to point wherever we want. So at least 8 of their creatures are gone. Ravage of the Hunted. Yes, this one's kind of a one-off, but honestly, +6/+6, now you're looking at a 14/14 Shelob. That's kind of crazy, and then again, she's lured, so we're going to get their entire board. Grappling Hook, super solid, we're going to get Double Strike, and then we can force a creature to block, so we know we're going to get their best creature. Moving on to the fight aspect, the cards are less interesting, but hey, more impactful because we get to target exactly what we need. Uvenwald Tracker, this one's super solid, repeatable, and very cheap. In's Fury, Prize Fight, and Tail Swipe. Again, we're just fighting things. Prey Upon, Primal Might. Notably, Primal Might can win us the game if we have enough mana, as well as Ram Through, right? If we can get Shelob big enough, this can also be lethal, right? Kalni Ambush, super solid. Early game a land, late game we get that fight spell, and Thornbite Staff. This card's especially kind of messed up in this deck because it's 2 mana to just kill a creature, and then we can untap that creature to do it again. So as long as we just keep pumping mana into this, we're killing all of our opponent's impactful creatures. Mr. Gnome over here just gives our food some synergy. Now we can sacrifice them to give our commander indestructible again, or any creature for that matter. Blossoming Bogbeast, Oran Frostfang, and Pathbreaker Ibex. Now, if you guys don't know, Death Touch has a super cool interaction with Trample. Trample states that you have to deal lethal damage before the overrun damage is applied, right? Well, lethal damage now becomes 1 because all of our creatures have Death Touch. So, if Shelob is blocked by another 8/8, we just have to apply 1 damage of lethal, and then the other 7 is gonna run over as trample damage. It's super broken. And then the last thing we'll talk about before moving on to those creepy spiders is Phyrexian Reclamation, just super solid recursion. Moving on to spiders, we went 2 routes, either really cheap or pretty good abilities. The first one's obviously really cheap. Mirkwood Spider, Chainweb Arachnir, Canopy Spider, and Snare Spinner, also super efficient. Twin Silk Spider and Penumbra Spider, super solid. We can fling them at something, they'll die, and hey, a spider will re-enter. Arasta, the Endless Web, this has the ability to create a lot of spiders. We're getting into the more useful spiders at this point. Silk Slash Spider, super solid for getting rid of any of those flying creatures. Watcher in the Web, this guy can just straight up block 7 additional creatures, so that's pretty scary. Drider, this one just makes more spiders. Ishkana is also super solid. Not only can it make us more spiders, but hey, it could end the game if we do get enough on board. Doomweaver, this one, so bound it to our commander. If they die, we're just going to go ahead and get an additional 8 cards, so it won't be that much of a hit. We also have a couple non-spider cards that make spiders, such as Spider Spawning. Does exactly what the name implies. We're just making spiders here. Loth Spider Queen. This one has the ability to 1 make spiders and then draw us some cards, while also, hey, if we get that emblem and just start dealing 1 damage to them, it just becomes 8 out of nowhere, because that's pretty fair. Curse of the Clinging Web. Throw this on a player, and then we're going to create some spiders. Arachnogenesis, super solid, especially if we hold this in our hand for the token player, because that is one of the ways this deck will lose. Moving on to ramp, we're going to need a lot of it because the first thing we need to do is get that 6 CMC commander onto the battlefield. Fyndhorn Elves, Elves of Deep Shadow, Leonmore Elves, and Incubation Druid are all elves that are going to ramp us and at a very early stage. Additionally, hey, Incubation Druid, slap those counters on her and she gets insane. Secure Tribuilder, Farseek, 3 Visits, Rampant Growth, and Nature's Lore. Just really efficient ramp. Early on, people are going to be super jealous. Cultivate and Kodama's Reach, I like these cards because they're basically like drawing an additional card, right? It's just that that card just so happens to be a land. Intish Restoration, we will have our commander on the battlefield half the time, so to be able to throw 3 lands into play at instant speed, pretty busted. Lastly, we have Soul Ring, also hey, pretty busted. Moving on to card advantage, we have Knight's Whisper, Sign in Blood, and Read the Bones, just really early to smooth out our draws, hopefully draw us into that ramp we need. Rishkar's Expertise, Return of the Wildspeaker, Soul's Majesty, and Hunter's Insight can all draw us cards depending on how big, our creatures are. Turns out our commander is an 8/8, so that's going to be super solid. Toski, Bearer of Secrets. Now, I like this guy in the deck, one, because people are not going to want to block those spiders, so getting in for a little bit of damage here and there to draw some cards is going to be pretty easy. Beast Whisperer and the Great Hinge. One, the Great Hinge we can reduce because of our commander and its ramp as well as card advantage, and then Beast Whisperer just fits really good in here because we are playing a lot of creatures. Harvester of Souls. Hey, we are trying to harvest them souls. So this guy's not only thematically amazing, but he also is going to draw us a lot of cards. Moving on to removal, guys, we're going to keep it short and simple. We have Beast Within to get rid of any permanent we need. Azuri's Predation, super solid because, again, token strategies are the bane of our existence, and this can get rid of it. Massacre Worm, I like this guy in the deck, again, because of those token strategies. And then, hey, if we kill him, he enters in again. I mean, we can fight our own creatures, right? We can kill him, he'll enter again, and that'll be -4 per turn, and then he just kind of sticks onto the build as a static effect. Massacre Worm on an artifact seems pretty decent. Bane of Progress, I like this guy as well, right? Again, reusable for the same thing. You just go ahead and kill him, comes back as that food token. Now this guy does get rid of all your food tokens, so you could call it somewhat of a non-bow, but honestly, hey, that'll make him even bigger whenever he enters the battlefield, and there are a lot of enchantment and artifact strategies that need to be put down with this guy. Lastly, guys, I wanted to talk about Devotion Druid effects. Now, I did not include this in the deck because infinite mana to me is like, kind of just seems, I don't know, not very fun. But hey, if you guys like rolling that, I don't care. I'll play against it. Devotion Druid's amazing in this deck. Go ahead, fight the Devotion Druid, kill it, and then you can just put as many negative counters as you want on this, netting you infinite mana. Now, I didn't include this in my deck tech, but hey, I thought I'd shove it in here at the end, just in case you wanted to. Here's some extra tech. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the deck tech. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors. I'll see you in the next one.